This is GKW. Welcome to another edition of Good Karma Wrestling. I'm Gabe Neitzel from ESPN Milwaukee. And we've got the whole gang back together. Brian Rowitz from ESPN West Palm. You've heard him a bunch lately on Sirius XM with that whole crew, with friend of show Matt Cardona. Catch him also on ESPN 1000 in Chicago. He is Jonathan Wood. All right, guys, a lot of stuff to dive into. Where we begin, we found out this week that AEW is going to be putting their pay-per-views on HBO Max. If you're a Max subscriber, have that opportunity to get all out through HBO Max, and you get a little bit of a discount. But we also found out that All Out, because it's going head-to-head against WrestlePalooza, the newest premium live event from WWE, which is going to be on ESPN+, and their new app, they decided to shift back to the afternoon, as we've seen a couple of different times now from AEW. Is moving All Out up in Toronto to an afternoon start time, is that the right move?
Okay, for the interim, yes, it is. And by the way, if you're in the UK, this is awesome because you have to watch in the middle of the night, right? I mean, so afternoons for us in the North America, but in the UK, it's a great time. I guess the question I want to ask, along with what you asked, Gabe, is how much more can you run away from WWE? I mean, because at some point, don't you want to know how you measure up? It was successful in Dallas because they had a long day. It was afternoon into the evening, right into Goldberg's retirement. So that's great. But I guess I throw a question back to you, Gabe. So don't you want to find out how you measure up? Like this show in Toronto it's going to be okay. They got a litany of injuries right now, so it's not going to be top of the top. But you know the action's going to be better than the WWE. It will be. But the only problem is WWE has a star power. We're going to see John Cena against Brock Lesnar. So I guess my question to you, Gabe, is how often can you run? Will you ever go head up against WWE pay-per-view versus WWE big event? Because if you keep running, everything will be an afternoon event because WWE is going to track you down either way, right?
Yeah, and look, I think part of this is they've had some success in the afternoon. They had success, again, not just with the attendance, but I think with the pay-per-view buys, with All In that was down there. They had success with Forbidden Door, which was in North America in the afternoon because it was over in the UK. Mm-hmm. So this is, to me, maybe eventually you want to do that, but I think all the points you made about, okay, you're beat up. So some of the star power you have is unavailable. Edge and Christian, we already saw the reunion. Obviously, they're going to get a big pop being from Canada up in Toronto. That's going to be, I think, a huge drawing power for them for the show. But you mentioned John Cena. It's also going to be AJ Lee's return, presumably at WrestlePalooza. We'll find out more with SmackDown, where she presumably makes her return to WWE tomorrow night in your hometown of Chicago. So I think, yes, eventually I'd like to see him go head-to-head. And, oh, by the way, this is the first WWE Premium Live event on ESPN. So, like, this specific event has a lot of things going for it where I think it is wise for Tony Khan to avoid it because you can still put on a really good show. You can put on your bangers. You're going to get enough pay-per-view buys where it's still worth it to you instead of having to go head-to-head and make people choose of, hey, do I want to watch Edge versus Christian and versus FTR, or do I want to watch AJ Lee in a mixed tag match with her coming back? Like, for the first time in... I mean, when's the last time we saw AJ Lee in a wrestling ring? I mean, it's been forever.
But WWE's always going to have that ammo in their back pocket. So to your point, Hood, this does feel like AEW is being bullied, and you're throwing your hands up saying, all right, fine, you guys have it. Like, AEW announced this date months ago. Then WWE's like, oh, yeah, that's a good date. And this is the first time they're going main roster. They've done NXT against AEW, but going main roster, emptying everything out, they're always going to have that stuff. So I feel like, if not now, when? Because AEW is hot right now. WWE, at least from our standpoint, wrestling fans, probably isn't, but they're always going to have that star power. They're always going to have that 50-year head start. So if not now, when? When will you go head-to-head?
When you're healthy. When you have Will Ospreay, when you have Swerve Strickland, I mean, who knows if Kenny Omega is going to be available for the one up in Toronto? I mean, they did a stretcher job for him. I don't know. Again, what is that, like 3 or 4 stretcher jobs for him now this year? Like, they've done a lot for Kenny, and he still continues to come back. So maybe Kenny will be back in time for that event. I don't know what their plans are for him. But I would wait until you're full strength, until you feel like, okay, we can actually put together a really good show to go head-to-head with WWE. Because, again, this is going to be more than than just going head to head. If it was Paris, if it was Clash in Paris, I think you'd feel better about going head to head. Like WWE's loading up this card particularly because it's their first one on ESPN. They want to show, hey, this is going to be a great partnership for us and the worldwide leader in sports. So they have AJ Lee, they have John Cena. I actually don't know if it's going to be Brock Lesnar, if it's going to be Drew McIntyre.
Drew and Cody, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, Gabe. I don't know what it is. I'm just so the answer to the question is for the interim, it's the right thing to do. But I guess I'm just wondering, will Tony Khan ever drop a pair and go, you know what? We have the best wrestling. And you could put an NXT show against us. You could put a WWE show against us. You know what? I want our audience to choose. And here's the thing. If you're an AEW loyalist, you're just going to watch AEW.
Right.
But you know that you at some point will watch WWE. I think to put it three of us, it's choosing one and then watching the other later. And you could do that, by the way, and that's okay.
Yes.
But the idea that every time, at every turn, AEW says, no, we'd love to go on at 7 o'clock Eastern or 8 o'clock Eastern. No, we will curtsy to WWE. We'll just keep moving it to the afternoon. The perception is reality. If you keep moving it, people will think, okay, you are the second brand. You won't even go head-to-head for real. WWE is trying to run Tony Khan out of business. There's no question about that because at every turn they try to go head to head. To me, it's nonsense because we have the time to watch both. If we watch one show and it's just the ESPN show, we can watch AEW the next day. We watch it on Sunday. But it's not like we're going to be it's not like we're just going to watch one and not the other. So I just I know we're in a wrestling war. I just think that Tony Khan at some point when he's ready needs to say, you know what? We're going head to head, and I'm going to win. He's got to have that confidence because he run the business.
Yeah, I think I think I wait to do that until maybe later this year when I feel a little bit healthier. Like this is just the wrong time, the wrong card because maybe I feel like you'd have to get lucky in order to go head to head and still come out with the pay-per-view buys you're looking for a signature event the way that All Out has been for AEW, and now they're moving it out of Chicago for the first time. They're putting it up in Toronto, doing all these different things. So, okay, I get it here. But yeah, later in the year, there's a possibility with this ESPN thing. Like, I know Brian and I are waiting as YouTube TV subscribers for YouTube TV to be added to the list of, yeah, you get this all new ESPN app as part of your subscription package. But WWE hasn't actually sold their premium live events in a very long time. And there are wrestling fans who are actually, if they want to, going to have to buy it if they're not a Comcast subscriber, if they're all these different subscribers, after years and years of the WWE Network, or you subscribe to Peacock. Yes, I guess you're paying, for those things, but you're not paying specifically for the one event. It just comes as a part of the overall subscription for the service that you've already paid for. I'm honestly curious to see if that plays a role and if that's a little convoluted and there's some fans on the internet that are upset that next time WWE tries to go head to head with Tony, that Tony goes, all right, let's give this a shot. They showed a little bit of weakness.
That's why this might have been the time because it is two paid shows going against each other. With Saturday night's main event, you have the option like, hey, do I spend $50 on AEW or do I just watch this WWE show for free? Like that might sway some people. On September 20th, you're going to have to pay for one or both of those shows. So maybe that is the opportunity where you say, oh, I actually want to watch the wrestling show. I don't want to watch Brock and Cena. And even the AJ Lee part, that is a surprise because we talk about who's going to be talked about at the end of the night. That being a surprise would have been a huge moment. We assumed she's going to be announced tomorrow. We're going to see a couple weeks of build-up. Her showing up for the first time that night would have been a huge thing and might have trumped anything AEW related. But now all the cards are on the table.
No, but if you're doing you're not going to do but here's the thing, you're not going to do a mystery tag partner for CM Punk. You know what I'm saying? You can't do a mystery tag partner for a mixed tag and the other is a husband-wife combo. Like everybody already knows what you're doing, so you might as well have her debut, be able to sell her merch, which apparently WWE Shop already ruined with a tweet. So
wow.
You're not gonna you can't make a surprise the way Punk was when he was in Chicago. Like this, because she's actually gonna be wrestling in a match. I think you have to do it the way WWE has been, because again, it's still you're getting the pops of all right. Well, he took the low blow in Clash in Paris. Okay, that's sign number one. Oh, Becky comes out and she's the one talking on Monday Night Raw. and then she's slapping Punk around, but he gets to say, hey, you're going to regret this.
Right.
And everybody already knows what that means, right? Like when Punk came back to AEW, it was the worst kept secret. And it's still one of the biggest pops in the last 20 years of wrestling when he actually came through that curtain in Chicago to return to professional wrestling. So I think you can have a similar thing for AJ Lee this Friday.
I was there. It's one of the greatest moments for me as a wrestling fan. We knew Punk was there. You know, I could tell the T-shirts and the ice creams were already out there. And we could see that Punk was coming. They were already rolling in the ice cream before they made the announcement. So we saw him there, right? Boy, it'd be so funny. All this build-up for AJ Lee, and all of a sudden, here comes Rhea Ripley.
Right. I was about to say, here comes Rhea.
Like, I'll be there Friday, by the way. I'm going for GKW because I was there and I got the ticket because it was going to be the last time I see John Cena in person. Now we got another opportunity to see possibly AJ Lee and CM Punk together in Chicago. It's just a drive from the city to Rosemont. Yeah, I could see that happening. It's funny that we mentioned this whole thing, by the way, about HBO Max and direct-to-consumer ESPN. Gabe, Brian, you know, one of the top stories we had on the morning show on ESPN Chicago was talking about the Red Zone having commercials. Did you talk about that, Gabe? Did you guys talk about that today?
We did not. No. We decided to be excited about Micah Parsons.
Well, we talked about the.
We're still throwing a party here in Wisconsin.
We like to have diversity in our conversation. So especially with me being one of the hosts, a lot of diversity there. But I think that when you think about the Chicago Bears and you think about the Red Zone, we talked about how much money you have to pay. $15 a month for the product. So same thing here with the HBO Max. You got to pay $40, is it, for this pay-per-view?
Yes, in addition to your Max subscription.
Yeah, but I mean, if you have a Max subscription, then on top of it, then you can pay $40. But again, you can still access it every other place you've been able to access it previously for the $50. So it's not like this is an HBO Max exclusive. You can still, in the other places where you've been able to, like wherever you purchased, if you were a fan who watched Forbidden Door, wherever you purchased Forbidden Door, you can still do that. But this is just in addition to, and you get a $10 discount if you're already a Max subscriber.
Okay, good. That's why I purchased the last pay-per-view. But it's just that it's funny that we talk about, the NFL, how they have their hands out more and more money that we have to dole out as fans. The Friday game is going to be in Brazil, so just more money. Same thing here with us as wrestling fans. Direct-to-consumer, HBO Max, it just continues to raise the bar of how much money we got to pay as consumers. It's amazing. It's endless,
That's how it works.
Yeah. But again, Netflix has been doing this. It's been. Every subscription service now. If you want without commercials, it's extra money you have to pay. When everything used to be without commercials, it's just how everybody is just squeezing it dry to try to get a little bit more money out of us. But we've got a lot of other things to dive into in the world of professional wrestling. We call it 3 Count here on GKW. Brian,
all right. We talked about some of the injuries in AEW, both Ospreay and Swerve taking some time off. So who's going to step up over these next few months and fill the voids left by Ospreay and Swerve?
This is a really tough one because I was assuming that one of them was going to be Kenny Omega. All right, we're going to get Kenny. Well, Kenny, I don't know if there was the rumor of him battling serious pain is true or not, but then they do the stretcher job for him last night on Dynamite. So I think I have to scratch him off the list. And I think we kind of go back to some of the younger stars that we have been talking about previously, whether that's Daniel Garcia taking a step up. Obviously, he's going to be involved in some sort of storyline with the Death Riders. Darby Allin, obviously very involved with the Death Riders as well. But it's guys like that, guys like we have noticed in AEW before and either haven't stepped up because of the opportunities. Somebody like Daniel Garcia, who's previously been TNT champion, has kind of drifted to the background, now is back in the foreground, or somebody that, decided to climb Mount Everest and take some time away from wrestling to do that in Darby Allin. But I think those types of guys, if we're talking about, Brian, we had the conversation of who the 4 pillars are last week in AEW. Well, some of those guys are beat up, so other guys need to step up. And those are the first two on the men's side that, okay, these are the ones you're going to have to try to build some of these stories around going forward, because who knows when Ospreay, Swerve, and even Kenny are going to be back.
So it starts with guys like Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher for me. We can start to see that Takeshita is going to be a babyface here. So they're going to right the wrong from like 1990 when the Great Muta should have been a babyface. I think they're doing this here with Takeshita. He seems like he's not all in with the Don Callis family. So I think guys like him, and of course our buddy Kyle Fletcher. No, he's champion now, but that guy's a future world heavyweight champion. And you can see that because of the injuries, all of a sudden now you can see some of the guys that's been beat a lot are kind of being able to be raised up a little bit. The Ricochet group now is raised up to another level. So some guys that were kind of undermined now have an opportunity to be able to be in a bigger spotlight. So for me, it's a couple of guys like that can step up to the next level.
Yeah, I think with Fletcher, this is the guy, I think we forget that a few years ago he was a tag team wrestler, and he hasn't been a singles wrestler his whole career, but that rise has continued. My takeaway from the end of Dynamite last night is the main event in Toronto is going to be Hangman and Fletcher. And we talk about Hangman just getting to MJF and things like that, but Fletcher's going to get a main event spot against the world champion. That says a lot for his stardom, and he's re-signed with the company, so I think he's definitely one of them. And even Brodito, like we were surprised when they won the tag titles, but they're getting some TV time, defending the titles last night, which sometimes we see AEW cash in on the hot hand and then forget that they're champions. They got TV time last night. Like I think we could see them in some of those moments where like, oh yeah, there's our 5-star match guaranteed every pay-per-view.
I guarantee when I was watching, the first thing I thought of last night as I am watching Harley Cameron and Chris Statlander backstage, and Harley Cameron says, "Give us Brodito." Rowitz was excited. Rowitz got excited. Rowitz started fantasy booking that in his head.
I think that stare down between Stat and Brody King would be a hell of a stare down. No,
you're definitely.
Was literally the first thing I thought of when she goes, "Give us Brodito." I'm like, oh God, Rowitz is gonna love this.
Well, I'm sure you're fantasy booking something else when it comes to her.
Touche.
She is adorable in the little cat outfit. I tell you what. Look, yeah, she's out of her mind, and I love it.
Yeah, she's awesome.
But I mean, honestly, those are maybe it's also an opportunity to continue to lean more into your women's division, which is probably the strongest in all of pro wrestling right now. Like it's so stout. We talked about those two as a tag team, obviously with what with what Mercedes Moné has been able to do, what you've been able to do with Timeless Toni Storm and Athena. I felt like finally got the opportunity we were begging for and continued to knock it out of the park. Alex Windsor, I feel like, has really been a fun little growth project for them as she continues to grow. I'm a big fan of Julia Hart and seeing what they have going on in their group. Obviously, Jamie Hayter's back. Like, this might be an opportunity for, okay, Ospreay and Swerve are out. Maybe we shine a light over on the women's division as well and try to get some of these women more on TV to try to continue to grow.
You're right about all of that, Gabe. Until I saw Riho on my TV and I threw the remote. Are we going backwards now as a company? Don't bring her back in. She wasn't believable when we first saw her. And now she's a grown-up teen. She was a child when we first saw her. And now she's a grown-up teen. And like, I don't want to get out of here with a Rio. You just named a whole bunch of women that I want to see in the title picture. And then here comes Rio from the side door at the 2300 Arena yesterday. I'm like, well, I don't want to see it. That's not believable as a champion. Get her off my TV, Rio.
I would also say, I think we talked about last, I think we're headed towards the women's war games. Like, that could essentially main event a pay-per-view, because if it's Hangman Fletcher, I don't know if that's a main event because Hangman's not dropping the title. So is there something else out there that could main event Toronto?
Well, I mean, Edge and Christian
title match,
or excuse me, Cope and Christian.
Yeah,
they're in Toronto. Like, you can get away with it with those two in a blood match against FTR. Like, you could get away with it there. I would start the show there. Just start on that high note and then just continue to cook from there. But maybe they do go in that direction. And the one thing I am concerned about, because it feels like they've done this with a lot of their guys, where they heat them up too fast,
Right.
and we know they're not going to win, right? Like Kyle Fletcher's got a really good thing going on right now. He's the TNT champ.
Sure.
Let him run that out. You've got enough other guys that you can just kind of feed Hangman Adam Page, even within the Don Callis family, right? Like you can heat any one of those guys up quick enough. I would have left Kyle Fletcher alone, and I think he can still be somebody that helps carry the company as the TNT champion. But having him step up and be the second challenger to Hangman when we know Hangman's not going to drop it, that's kind of playing with fire a little bit.
Well, then what if it's Takeshita?
Like
I don't even remember. Does Takeshita have an AEW title right now? I don't even remember.
He does not. No.
So you put him in, and that starts the face turn, and like he loses to Hangman, he gets kicked out of the Don Callis family, and you have that story there.
And don't look now. I know we've said this before on a loop, but Wardlow's back, and you can heat him up. Yeah, I mean, it's only his fourth faction, by the way.
Was he out there last night though?
He was not.
Oh,
he was not. But there's a guy there that's back, and we'd like to see him. But again,
why was he not out there?
It's funny. Out of this conversation, we did not mention MJF. That says a lot, doesn't it? MJF, by the way.
I guess I just assume that he's a part of that. Like he's a part of that with Hangman that's already carrying the torch for the company, I think. And then that's why I didn't even think of MJF, because he's already one that they're already
counting. By the way, just as an aside about MJF, the night before the pay-per-view in Toronto, he will be in Mexico City. So I could see one of those things where he slides in. He flies all night to get to Toronto, from Mexico City to Toronto, and then tries to cash in or whatever, and it doesn't work. But I don't know if I see him in a match, but apparently he's going to try to do both.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a match. And they added the caveat after Forbidden Door, he has to give a 1 week notice. So they're not treating it like Money in the Bank.
That's right. We might not see him at all in Toronto then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting. He's going to try though.
Right.
He'll still try. He'll be there to maybe try. It might be illegal, but he'll try to do it. It's so funny. There's so many names when you come up with this topic. So many different names, and I'm not trying to have Hangman Page lose the title, but I just think that the contenders really look interesting, babyface and heel.
Yep.
For Hangman Page. It's a very interesting time for AEW.
Yeah, I think they've got a lot of people who can step up. Now, again, I think they would prefer that these guys are healthy and they can still tell stories with them. But, Hook being back, seeing if you can actually start to build something there as he confronted Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs last night of, hey, you guys didn't even wait for me. Body wasn't cold. You guys decided to take those trio championships. So that's interesting. Like Samoa Joe versus Hook, that could be fun.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of different things you can do. Again, my hopes is as deep as that women's division is, that maybe they get a little bit more shine there. But again, tread lightly, because you never know who they're going to bring through that
Gabe,
door.
when you are going through the hallways in Milwaukee slapping teammates, do you have the Sinatra music playing while you're that violent, like Hook does? Just have the music just playing the entire time.
The lights go out. Yes, there is a spotlight that shines, and then everybody knows. Be scared, because I'm coming through, and you get my way.
I love the idea that he's got Sinatra music playing the entire. It's a thing. They're trying it out. It's growing on me a little, I guess.
He's still very over, and I guess this results in Joe turning heel.
I don't. Cool. Well, when you saw the interaction, wasn't it Hook that had a problem?
Yeah, but you see his side of things, which I guess in AEW, even setting houses on fire makes you a face, so it's hard to tell which way you're going there. So happy anniversary to that. I believe today's 1 year.
It is.
Yes.
Oh, really?
So sorry to Swerve's house.
Yeah, pour one out to Swerve's house, but it helped Hangman become one of the biggest baby faces in the history of the company. So hey, all's well that ends well, I guess, in that situation.
Right, in the WWE World Champion, you're gonna break those CDs. Rollins and Cody continue to be top of the WWE card. Who are your next WWE World Champions eventually?
I think for me, it's hard to look past Roman. And I know they wrote him off TV right now as he is Street Fighter is the movie that he has a role in, and that's why he's gone, and eventually will come back. But every time Roman Reigns is on my television, like even though you have Cena's retirement tour going on, and you have Cody Rhodes, like Roman Reigns is the most over he's still ever been. Like this is the dude that Vince McMahon wanted him to be 8 years ago, maybe close to 10 years ago. Like this is who Vince wanted this guy to be, and now he's finally there. He's fully realizing that potential. It's going to be hard to ignore when he eventually comes back to, okay, how long can we actually keep a championship off this dude? I lean towards Roman as my first choice to the question of who are the next
on the
WWE
Raw
World
side.
champs.
I don't remember which one's called what. So he takes Rollins' belt.
So that is the World Heavyweight Championship.
That's right.
Maybe I don't know. They're switching guys left and right. Roman can show up wherever.
Guys. I think they were headed that way. When Roman says he's got a lot of big plans, that's what he said. He's got big plans. I don't know what that meant, because I felt like to me, he feels like he's at the tail end. Mm-hmm. Like Cena's getting his flowers now, but like in a few years, Roman's just going to be exclusively the movies, and rightfully so. He's put a lot of time in. I think, but I mean, we've had a penny stock on Braun Breaker as soon as he was on our TV and NXT, didn't we? Then we think that eventually is going to be the guy.
Yep.
Well, let me take the women's side, and then maybe I need help on the men's side. So clearly, they're going to go with Stephanie Vaquer at some point here. She's the only one that keeps getting screwed or missing title shots, and she doesn't get mad. That's the thing. Like other women in the back on WWE TV is like, "Hey, Adam Pearce, where's my title match? Hey, where's my title match?" And Stephanie's like, "Okay, I understand." In her broken English, she's like, "Oh, okay, I don't get a match today. Okay, so next pay-per-view. Yep, kick the can down the road, Vaquer. Not yet. And they keep blowing her off, right? So eventually, the fans are going to be like, okay, now it's her time. So I think that late this year, early next year, I think she's the lady.
I think has that been announced for WrestlePalooza? I think it's her and Io for the vacant title.
Correct. For Naomi's vacant title.
You put on her there in Indy?
No.
I like Io Sky a lot.
Yeah, I think Io's going over there. Like for somebody who's wrestling in that match, Stephanie Vaquer has been suspiciously absent from my television as the one we've known who's wrestling in that match for quite some time. Like she's been suspiciously absent, where Io Sky seemingly has an iron in the fire in just about every women's storyline currently going.
I mean, she was in 3 segments of this week, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She was everywhere. And eventually, clearly they're going to go in some direction, and maybe they do give it to Vaquer and Asuka screws Io and that starts something. But I think that would probably mean something more if Asuka turned on Io either after the match, the Raw after, or whatever, and then you have Asuka fighting for a championship, because you've got the storylines are writing themselves for Io and they all make sense if she's champion. I don't know what's next for Stephanie Vaquer if she wins the championship at WrestlePalooza. Because again, she's not on my TV participating actively in any
story. She keeps getting pushed away. That's why. she gets the promo for 30 seconds. Do I get my title? No. I mean, but next time. Okay. And she walks away. So she's very affable as a teammate in WWE. She's totally cool. Now, on the men's side, because it's so old, the roster is pretty old in WWE. So there's no money in Drew McIntyre beating Cody, right? We're not getting a title change there. And so, but on the other side with Seth Rollins, is that CM Punk? Is that the next champion? And when will we're going to get that match win?
That's the thing. You look at both men's champs.
Survivor Series.
I don't see either of those men's champs dropping it in 2025 at this rate.
Okay. Well, then early next year then.
Right. The Rumble, which is in Saudi Arabia next year. So at 1:00 Eastern, we get Rollins dropping it to Punk or Roman.
Well, they're going to want a title change. If not, they're Poland.
Okay.
I mean, have you ever seen by the way, a schedule like this in January? Have you seen this, guys? I mean, it's all international early. Into Saudi, like, dude, you're going to take care of Lexington, Kentucky, or what?
Nope.
Is it apparently not? Come to Milwaukee? No.
They don't buy the.
They're here on Monday. We got Raw on Monday.
Won't see them again until this time next year. They don't care about the U.S. What about us? Can we get some wrestling?
No, we don't get Cena. I'm guessing we're not going to get Punk because Punk's doing this past Monday, and now obviously he's going to be in Chicago on SmackDown. I don't know what we're getting in Milwaukee from Monday Night Raw this week.
I don't understand that. It was, by the way, when Punk was in AEW, big, again, the coronation of Punk, then I drove right to Milwaukee the next day to see Punk in Milwaukee. I was there.
Yeah.
Panther Arena. It was great because that's how you do things. You just don't just stop by the U.S. It's like this is not a drive-by country.
Right.
Like you can spend time here sometime, but January is like all stacked up with just like Germany and Poland and like, my God, who's covering there? Brian?
I don't know.
Brian.
A little far away. Takes a few more days. But
I don't know. I guess, I could see if anyone's going to drop. That's the problem. Like after Drew, I don't even know who challenges.
Like
Cody.
I see Cody still champ at Mania.
You do?
Who else is it going to be? Like you're not just going to have a random him dropping it.
Oh, well, you got to heat somebody up, man. Like he.
Do you throw LA Knight a bone at some point? Does he win it in Saudi and get 2 weeks as champ?
No. Well, what about your guy? What about Sami Zayn? What's going on with Sami?
I'm not falling for that trap, but him at Mania will be great. But I'm not falling for that trap. But him beating Cody at Mania, it's going to be a great moment. I'm not falling for that trap.
God, I was about to say, he's already... he's already got a fantasy book for Mania. So that's when he says he doesn't see Cody dropping it until Mania, he means he doesn't see until, because Sammy going over in Saudi would be huge for Saudi. Like they'd go crazy with him winning the Rumble, and then Sammy goes on to defeat Cody Rhodes in the main event of WrestleMania. Brian's had that fantasy booked in his head ever since they announced they were going to Saudi Arabia.
I think they're going in that direction.
Yeah.
This is the most confident you could ever be of Sammy being world champion, because here on this show, he was sheepish about it. Oh, I don't see myself as world champion. I don't have a lot of confidence in my ability. Now he's on the TV like, I'm going to be the world heavyweight champion. Like
Montreal got me hooked. That reaction, him versus Roman, I thought they might have pulled the trigger there. But yeah, like it's steering that way. So I'm trying not to fall into the trap again. But there's no one else on that roster that you can see beating Cena or beating Cody.
No, and you can't even, if you heat up Gunther, I don't think that's believable either.
No, he's not on our TV anymore.
When he comes back, though, he'll be back. He had no surgery, so he'll be back. But I mean, not even him.
I guess that could work. Like that roster is so depleted at the top.
Well, but again, and then like the ones that you actually think are good enough are all literally on Raw, wrapped up in the Seth Rollins storyline. Whether it's Roman, whether it's LA, whether it's CM Punk. Like the guys that are hot enough to actually go over the heel, which is obviously Seth at this point. Like that's the only thing that makes sense. Is Sammy? Sammy's the next one, I think, for the WWE Championship. I think Sammy's the next one there. I think it's either Roman or Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship.
It's too bad you don't have really new blood in there. They don't have your guy Phoenix heated up at all. No Penta. Just attractions. That's all they are now. Attractions.
Well, just
look out.
And I understand, like, you want to keep Penta separate. Like, if you're going to put Ray Phoenix in a tag team, put him on the best tag team, one of the best tag teams in the world. What are we doing? Why would you not put him with Penta? Like, let those guys cook. Let those guys just put on great tag team matches. Instead, they throw Ray Phoenix with Andrade as a tag team. Like, what? Like, either let Ray Phoenix cook by himself or let the Lucha Brothers do what they do best and just put on tag team bangers all over.
Tag team wrestling doesn't exist. But they got on the pay-per-view this week, so congrats to the tag titles there.
I love DIY raising their hands and goes, can we go back to NXT?
Hey, let us wrestle there.
Can we just go there? Can we just wrestle there? We don't want to be here anymore. Thank you.
Well, at least, I mean, they do have tag team wrestling on SmackDown. I will say that. Raw does not exist.
Yeah, they do have no, there's no question. Tag team wrestling does exist at SmackDown, but nobody gets over.
Right.
That's the problem.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. They do the Vince 50-50
Like, I
booking.
respect them all. I'm just saying, like, not from a storyline standpoint, it's just filler.
No.
So,
And I feel
that's
like the only reason the Wyatts are the champs are on TV is because they have the Halloween Horror Nights like house all this month and all October. So you keep it top of mind. Like, hey, these guys, come see them. That's it.
You know, what we're getting to, ladies and gentlemen, is that WWE has wrestlers, but they're not as top heavy as AEW, where we're trying to search and find guys that could beat Seth and Cody, and they're just few and far in between. And the guys that they don't believe in, they wrestle. They get on the card like a Jey Uso or LA Knight. It just they're not going with those guys. They're just not.
Look, and look, Braun Breaker's a future world champ, but we're steps away from that, right? Because he's in the faction with the world champ. So Seth has to lose the championship first. Then Braun or Seth somebody's got to turn on the other one, and then they've got to have that singles feud before Braun can break away as a single star. Like, so we're a year away from that. Like, Braun Breaker maybe next year at SummerSlam can be competing for a world championship, 10, 11 months from now. But we're a lot of steps away. Like, the vision has to break up first, and then you play that out all down the line, which I'm fine with, in terms of bringing him along at that pace. But he's not in line, I think, to be
There's
one of the next
names.
champs.
You just got to heat him up. Like, I can give you Jacob Fatu, but you got to heat him up, and you got to put him in a position where you believe. Not just filler, not just kind of bloodline adjacent. You just got to be able to put him in positions to make you believe, oh, top contender, I'd want to see him in a pay-per-view for the heavyweight championship. But
which is, and again, no offense to your guy Sammy, it's just so weird that they brought Sammy over through Fatu Corner just to put Sammy over as the new U.S. champ.
A title he doesn't need, and then like you're stunting the growth of Solo. Like, I love Sami Zayn, but like, no, it made no sense him winning that title last week.
Yeah, and like, but also the part that makes no sense is like Fatu, who was just competing for that championship, helping him out significantly.
Right. Okay, whatever. Yeah.
And scene.
What do we got at number 3, Brian?
Well, speaking of the WWE, SmackDown on Friday, the lowest rating in show history for a non-preempted show. What is the biggest issue with the WWE right now?
Thank you, Brian Meltzer.
Low is low. I know we don't care about ratings, but low is low.
I think, I don't know, just kind of lack of storylines to really sink yourself into. I don't know if they're really using anybody at their full potential outside of everything going on with the Vision, right? Like, for the longest time, it was, okay, what's going on in the Bloodline? And then that was the biggest thing. Well, right now, the Vision's the biggest thing. And the tentacles off of that, whether it's Jimmy and Jay reuniting so they can face Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, or Big Bronson Reed. So you have that tag match, like the tentacles off of that. And then obviously, but now you have a world champion who is incredibly over, who is not going to be defending his world championship. He's going to be involved in a mixed tag match with CM Punk and AJ Lee. Same thing with the Intercontinental Women's Champion, another championship that's being occupied by a storyline feud, which, if you're trying to get some of these young people over and, all of a sudden, we see, okay, we're going to get something. We're finally getting Lyra Valkyria back on our TVs wrestling in the ring last week after she kind of disappeared for a little bit. It seems kind of disjointed right now. Like they're unsure of what direction they want to go in with everything else outside of the Vision. And everything else just kind of feels like it's treading water, whether that's the tag team division with nobody really necessarily getting over there, whether it's the U.S. title of, okay, let's put Sammy over quickly. Whether it's AJ Styles fighting once again with Dominic Mysterio and then getting taken out by El Grande Americano. Like, it just seems so disjointed. They're trying to connect the dots, but I don't think are doing so successfully.
Okay. So usually these go-home shows are skippable. No one knew that Sami Zayn would win. The reason why Sami won is because there was no room on the pay-per-view to put that match on. And that would have popped the crowd, by the way, for Sami to do that. It popped the crowd on Friday. Mm-hmm. But the audience didn't expect for a title change on SmackDown because it's so very rare that happened. So Friday Night Lights and college football and everything else that's on, it's just like, okay, I'll wait to the PLE. And a lot of people do that. Like, the Go Home Show won't have a lot. It'll just recap a lot of stuff I won't watch. So maybe that's one of the reasons why the rating was down. But it circles back to our conversations a lot here on GKW. And that is me asking the question to the audience. So what happens after the Bloodline? What's your second act? The Bloodline was hot for 4 years. And I know you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. But the point is, though, is that you need to have a second or third act. And I think that even though the vision, I think, is over, I think it's great. But you just try to figure out, like, nothing will be as hot as the Bloodline, but is what's happening now with the vision even close? Seth Rollins is the centerpiece as champion. And we know that Braun Breaker is a future champion. And Bronson Reed has never been more over. I mean, that tsunami is over. He took Jey Uso and he took Roman Reigns out, which is great to start the pay-per-view. Paul Heyman's the Oracle. That's great. Becky Lynch might be part of this mix, which I think is great. But you just wait for, like, what can be as hot as the Bloodline? What's even a close second or third or fourth? That's the problem with WWE. They've got superstar power. It's one of the few times in the company where everybody has something. You remember the Attitude Era, guys? From the top to the bottom, everybody had a role. They might be on your TV for 2 minutes and they had like a minute, like a 90-second match, but everybody had something under Vince Russo. I think we're getting back to that. But what's really hot on a regular basis? And I think that's the problem with the company.
Yeah, you mentioned this past Friday being skippable. I think most Mondays and Fridays are skippable at this point. The matches don't matter. You're going to have run-ins. You're going to have the same match multiple weeks in a row. And to that star development, we talked about it when talking about Next Champ, the fact that Roman is still that guy. When we started this show almost 200 episodes ago, we talked about how, oh, there's Roman, but there's no one else. It still sort of feels that way. Like, Rollins is still the B to Roman's A. Punk is over, but still doing his thing. Like, there's just not that story. We had Bloodline. We had Cody finishing the story, and then things just sort of ended right there. Like, Cody should be on every pay-per-view. He should be involved in stuff. He's the face of the company. He's QB1, but there's nothing storyline-wise that you should care about when he's on the TV. And it's so top-heavy and so old, that hurts the long-term future of this company.
Yeah, they need to, instead of trying to give something to everybody, just give something to a few people. Especially now that, again, SmackDown's only 2 hours. Like, you don't have time to jam everything in there. Like, try to commit yourself to a couple of those different storylines and give it a little bit of time. See if they end up playing out. And yeah, that's not going to make the roster obviously happy if they're not going to be on TV as much. But you, again, just kind of seems so disjointed of, oh, this week we'll try this and this week we'll try that. And there's not, even with the Bloodline, with other shows, it just kind of seemed like there was a through line for the show. And it's just like, well, this kind of happening over here. This is happening over there. The only through line on Monday Night Raw is what's happening with the Vision. You know, it's you're copying things that you had from the Bloodline playbook and applying them there. And I'm guessing a lot of that is still Paul Heyman influence, since, you know, he is involved in both factions. But you got to find something that you can heat up and fans can really get behind. And that's the biggest thing. It's like, what is there to get behind right now? Like, I'm sure we're all fans of different people, but like, so Rusev went over Sheamus. What's the follow-up there? What do they do with Rusev now? Right? Like, they had the good old-fashioned Donnybrook or whatever they called it. And okay, so now what happens with Rusev? Are you gonna do something with that now that fans can you get fans to try to get behind him? I have no idea. I don't have no idea.
We mentioned Braun and Bronson.
Yes.
I still don't have confidence that eventually they'll pull a trigger and finish that push. Like, they're in the right spot right now, but they still have to execute, and I don't have the confidence there. Like, Jey Uso is as over as he is because of the Bloodline, because of the way Roman treated him and Heyman treated him. Like, that led to this. Yes, the catchphrase helps, but that's sort of Bloodline adjacent to the fact that Sami Zayn's in that boat also. Sami got over because he was involved in the Bloodline vortex. We haven't quite seen that yet with the Vision, to where I don't know if they eventually push those two.
So are we leaking confidence on Triple H as a booker? Sounds like we are. That the guy that was so cool in NXT because he provided professional wrestling and had all these great matches but great storylines leading into the matches. Yes. And now it seems I'm not going to say overwhelming, but he's kind of in a ditch right now. And it's funny, and I want to make sure it's clear.
But this happens with WWE every year. Like, this is the
Yeah.
time of year where they kind of end up in that ditch, and it just kind of feels like they're treading water until they can start stuff up for Mania.
But WrestleMania wasn't good. Like, the Cena heel turn wasn't good. Like, they've had big misses over these last 6 months. Yes, this is the downtime and it's the off season, but they've had some big misses leading up to this as well.
Yeah, I want to make sure it's clear that we're not saying, when we say age and call them old, we're not saying that these wrestlers are bad. We're just saying that you need to have that youth movement. People that's in NXT or someone that's at the bottom of your roster need to be on your television to freshen up your TV. This is not against AJ Styles. All these guys are over. You see the kind of applause that Cena and AJ Styles and some of these veterans have been there for a long time. All these guys get their props. There's no doubt. They are future Hall of Famers. But you got to figure out what's next, because if you're not, then it's kind of this McMahon booking in which, well, we got to roll out the Undertaker, pal, and we got to roll out all these other people because those guys were over. Well, you still got to get others over. It's more than just, hey, we're superstars. It's what can you do in the ring and what stories can you tell when you're in the ring. I don't want to give the narrative that WWE is relaxed because they have all these TV deals, but it kind of feels that way sometimes, where it's like, well, we got the money, Gabe, we're good. We got direct to consumer with ESPN, and we've got Netflix and USA Network, and we got Tubi. We're good because no matter what we put out there, people are watching and consuming it. But ultimately, you got to keep going. You got to keep trying in a wrestling war. You just don't sit back on your laurels. I guess that's my point.
But that's the important part. Pritchard said it on Cody's podcast. Like, we care about the fans that are paying for tickets. People are paying these crazy numbers and sitting ringside and giving them money. So in their eyes, they don't need to fix anything.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this, because I was curious, just because it wasn't that long ago, WWE did a pretty big event in Indianapolis. So they're going back for WrestlePalooza. I think right now they've got 9,000 or 10,000 tickets sold, and it's set up for 11,000. And again, that's still a really good number. I don't want to put... We're used to seeing them at this point because the product's been so hot. They go to a town like that, put on a premium live event. We're looking at 15 to 20,000 people. I mean, they were just, is that part of the reason they're continuously going over to Europe? Because all those fans are starved and they can run Monday Night Raw in Lyon, France and get 24,000 people in a stadium or in an arena? Is that a part of it? Because right now it feels like it's cooling off stateside, and the attendance figures where Raw was selling out for weeks on end kind of feels like that's cooling off, and that narrative's disappeared a little bit, and WWE is not pounding their chest to kick off some of these shows the way they were 6 months ago.
Yeah, the perceptions is reality in that spot, right? So if you're sitting in North America and you're watching the people in Italy and the people in Germany and the people in Ireland, everywhere else, and the crowd is going crazy, the perception is, oh, the product's hot. But when they come stateside and you mentioned 11,000, it should be more than that. But here's the deal. In some of these cities, they're not starving for wrestling. If they don't get it from WWE or AEW, they get it from their indies in their local markets. But in those countries where they don't get wrestling, it's the hottest shit. And they know that they're going to get it maybe once, maybe not again for another 24 months, but they're going to go and they're going to make a lot of noise. So if nothing else, even though we think that the product is not as hot as it should be, the perception is WWE's never been hotter.
Yeah, and I think we've said this before. I don't know for the target audience. Like, us as hardcore pro wrestling fans, I don't know if that's who WWE is looking for. Like, we might get a little taste here and there, but they have their sports entertainment fans. They have generation and generation that is into that product, that is into that big W, and they're getting them.
But again,
the highlights are on SportsCenter, for God's sake.
I know. It is baffling to see that. Like, being on a Friday night finishing high school football with TV on, is like, why is there SmackDown on SportsCenter right now? I've seen that multiple weeks. It's very confusing.
You know they're going to jump the shark when the highlights, audio-wise, will be on a SportsCenter all night. I'm Jim Basquill. And so now, here's what's happening on Monday Night Raw. When we start hearing the audio highlights mixed in with the football, the baseball, and everything else, then you know it's a problem. Then you know WWE's made it.
But again, looking at WWE going from Royal Rumble in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil to now turning it around in the same year, having another PLE in that same city, like, I think that's interesting. And okay, They want to have more 2-night events. They're tentpole events. I'm really curious to see what happens with attendance at WrestleMania. Going back to Las Vegas for a 2-night WrestleMania and charging the prices that they want to charge, and Vegas charging the prices that they've been charging. I know that's been a bigger story outside of professional wrestling of how expensive Vegas has become and how vacant Vegas has been because of the prices that they charge. So it's something on the periphery right now, but it's something that has my attention of, okay, you were just in a football stadium. Now you can only draw 11,000.
But their fallback is, like you said, it's just like, all right, America, you lose it then. Like, oh, it's Vegas' fault, Saudi Arabia in 2026 for WrestleMania. That'll be full.
I don't think that they wanted it in Indianapolis. I think it just fell there. When they found out that AEW had a pay-per-view in Toronto, to go, what's our next place? Indy. We were just, okay, let's do it there. I think it was just part of like the plan. They didn't know. It was like, okay, back in Indianapolis. And so Indianapolis got their fill of WWE. And so 11,000, like you mentioned, good number.
Yeah,
they prefer not to have it there, but it's just like, we got to do it because AEW's running the show.
Yeah, and again, 11,000 is more than sustainable, right? Like, but to me, it's just not as hot as what it's been. Like that's what that shows me, is that it's clearly not as hot as it's been, and it's cooling off. So I think that is a validation of some of the criticisms we've just been levying against the WWE product.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, what do we got this week? News and notes.
We saw it last week after AEW Dynamite. Taz surprised his induction into the 2300 Arena Hall of Fame. We thought it was going to be part of Collision. Then we thought it was going to be part of Dynamite. Well, it was actually on neither. Taz on social media saying, quote, "We have lots of current in-ring wrestlers that should get TV time, and he's the one that asked for it not to be included in television last night."
Good for Taz. Good for Taz. Like, hey, we're limited. It's not like they're on Netflix and they can kind of run the show as long as they want. Although, kind of seems like Turner lets them do whatever they want. I mean, the runtime sometimes for Dynamite on TBS, it'll go till quarter past the hour. All they do is just cut into the rerun of Big Bang Theory. Like, nobody really cares. So, but good on Taz. I like that reasoning. And, obviously he loves pro wrestling, still a part of it, but just didn't want the attention. I can respect that.
He didn't want to cry on TV. That's why.
Uh-huh.
I can also respect that.
He did. Big tough Taz, big shooter Taz. He didn't want to cry on TV, and plus his family's there as well. But good for Taz, though. In that residency in Philly, he deserves that because he was the face of ECW for a long time.
I will say, go watch the surprise last week. It was pretty cool. His wife's surprise dumb hook was there. It was pretty cool to see. Talk about WWE in the mainstream. Drake on the Not This Again podcast says his Instagram For You page is all Rhea Ripley, calls her his muse, and said, quote, "I'm like the opposite of everything that she likes."
Does Drake understand what the word muse means? It doesn't seem like he does. Doesn't seem like he quite understands what that word means. I'm just going to throw that out there.
So he's a fan of Rhea Ripley. Do we have that right? Okay. Great. Drake trying to get back in the news, obviously after being humiliated for the last couple of years. It's good for him to be in the good graces of WWE. I'm sure there'll be
time for Buddy to humiliate him, I guess.
Yeah, I've seen people say they should show him pictures of Buddy and then see if he wants to back off a little bit there.
I am looking for a diss track by Kendrick Lamar about those comments from Drake. I'm sure it'll be happening very soon. Thank you.
One of the stars of Forbidden Door was 21-year-old Bozilla. She did reveal in a recent interview that Julia, one of the people from WWE that reached out to congratulate her after that show, said she's heard from a bunch of different people. As of right now, she is happy where she currently is.
I mean, she's a future star, man. Like they did such a good job featuring her in that match and making her look like an absolute beast and star. I cannot wait to see what she does next.
I hadn't seen her before until we saw her
in
that
matchup.
And I said, "Oh, that's really impressive." And now she was trending, and she. I didn't know how old she was. I had to look it up, but you could tell that she could be a force someplace. Julia, WWE's Julia, or AEW's Julia?
WWE. Julia with a G.
Julia.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I was very impressed by her. And somebody on our social media at GKW_wrestling sent a YouTube link if you want to go through all of her matches.
Yes.
She's had a lot of matches. And so, I saw a couple of them. Very impressive and very big Very powerful. Yeah.
Watch her versus Megan Bain from Vegas. One of my favorite matches of that weekend this past year. Very well done.
You were there.
I was there at the Palms Casino, some casino. There was a lot of casinos I was at. Finally, in news and notes, AEW returning to Chicago. I know this is not a repeat. It was announced this week, Saturday, December 27th, AEW World's End heads to the Now Arena in Chicago.
They missed it. They're doing All Out internationally up in Toronto. Yeah. They got to come back. If AEW doesn't do one of their pay-per-views in Chicago, something went wrong. Like, I know they say that Jacksonville is like home for them. No, Chicago is home for AEW. That is where AEW thrives, is in the city of Chicago.
Well, it's hopping the states, and it's a pain in the ass to get there from the city. But now I'm flipping a coin of whether I'm covering for GKW. I think I may, if Brian twists my arm, I will be there to cover for you that event. But it is a pain in the ass to get up there.
It honestly might be an easier drive for me to get there from Milwaukee.
That's 100% true. If you don't have Marquette, you get no Marquette duties. Please come down. God, I hate to make that drive. That 2-hour drive, almost in bad traffic. But if you need me to cover, Brian, I will be there during the holidays to cover.
Yeah, no better place to spend the holidays.
Maybe there'll be a brawl out again in that building.
How about them using that name? Have you seen that? So they have it. There's like a tailgate brawl all out. They're calling it. It's some like tailgate thing before All Out in Toronto in a couple weeks.
I did see that. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
No,
hell yeah.
Not?
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't capitalize and make money on it when it happened, but they just use the name and make money off it this way. Why the hell not? All right.
One thing about
boys, time for
one thing about Stephanie McMahon. So on her podcast, what's her podcast name? Something about Steph. Something about
I have no idea.
What are you thinking about? What's the name of it? What are you thinking about with Steph, or something along those lines? In the commercial for her podcast, she's promoting VPN. And so, of course, VPN is the way to be able to circumvent, go around paying high prices for Netflix or for Amazon Prime or all those things. Well, apparently ESPN is not happy, especially with this new direct-to-consumer, that she has an ad trying to say, hey, never mind about those crazy prices. Go to VPN. Hello? Are you not in business with ESPN?
And Netflix. Netflix probably doesn't love it either. It's called What's Your Story, by the way.
What's Your Story. That's it. What's Your Name by Stephanie McMahon. By the way, if you ever...
Who are you?
Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, if you're ever going to have an announcement for a baby, don't let Stephanie McMahon be there next to you. You want to say it? You want to say, you got a big announcement, Naomi? You got to say, is your stomach getting big? You want to make your announcement? She almost ruined it, for God's sakes, McMahon. And just ruining the moment for Naomi.
Yeah.
So maybe not smart business for Stephanie McMahon to say, hey, go to VPN. You don't want to pay direct-to-consumer prices to ESPN, blah, blah, blah.
Not a good look.
No.
All right, time for it. Matches of the week.
So does it goes back to Clash of Paris, right?
Uh-huh.
So how many matches were any good on that card?
One? Yeah.
What's the one, Brian?
I put Bronson and Roman. It made Bronson look like a star before and after, and Roman took a lot of damage. I was impressed to see that.
I'll say that Logan Paul and John Cena, I will give them credit because it was more than 5 moves to do. It was like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
So I like that he's trying to styles clash. I like Logan Paul, by the way, digging into the crates. You could tell that he's been looking at tapes. I thought that he was very impressive as well. It's a better match than I thought it was going to be. But I'm going to give credit to both of those guys. I thought that both guys delivered in that match.
By the way,
it has been nice.
Is Logan Paul someone that takes the title from Cody?
I mean, I would put him on the list. Like Logan Paul, the way he's just given himself to professional wrestling, I think is fantastic. He is a tremendous pro wrestler. Like he understands the assignment. He is a tremendous heel, tremendous bad guy, excellent in the ring. And I hope that Cena continues to put on great matches like this. Like the last 2 matches he's been in, to your point, Hood, and part of that's probably, Logan Paul being as good as he is. But the last 2 matches are probably clearly the best 2 of the current run. But even going back before that, when he would make the sporadic appearances and returns, like these have been 2 of his best matches in years for Cena. Outside of PLE, I would say for WWE, I really enjoyed the women's tag match from Monday night of the Kabuki Warriors versus the Judgment Day. I thought that was the best match on Monday Night Raw.
I'm going to go with a different pay-per-view that ended up not working that is now on YouTube for free. Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor, Friday night. Go check it out on YouTube. Both title matches, Bandito versus Hechicero and Athena versus Mina. Bravo.
Yeah, so I'm behind, so I'm going to watch that. But I heard that those 2 matches were outstanding.
Yes, Bandito and Hechicero went nearly 40 minutes doing
Holy
the flying and the submission and just unbelievable. And that was the co-main event. Athena then got the main event.
I got to go and watch that. I heard that those were bangers, so I got to watch that. And once again, Bandito could be Wrestler of the Year. Honest to God, he's had some great matches so far. Unfortunately, behind a paywall mostly.
Yeah.
So Reed and Breaker against Uso and Knight, Brodito against Claudio and Yuta on Dynamite, and one NXT matchup, the main event, Obafemi and Hank and Tank against Dark State.
Okay.
So not bad. Also Mysterio against Mysterio in the matchup against AJ Styles.
Yeah, but again, like they just ruin it at the end when they bring out El Grande Americano. Like you got a good thing cooking, and then it just. I hate how every WWE match has to end in interference. Like nobody can ever go over clean. It's just it drives me insane that like what would have been the problem of just having Dominic go over by himself there?
I think that was the wrong call. I think AJ should have won. I do. I mean, you saw that crowd, right?
Yeah.
So through a commercial, they're still doing the wave and they're still doing the chant. So for 6 minutes straight, they're rooting for AJ Styles. That's a lot of noise. If I'm in the back, I tell the referee, hey, change the finisher. Just to give the crowd something. For AJ to lose that match after all that, pomp and circumstance, probably the wrong call.
And I want to give a shout out. I thought Alex Windsor and Mercedes was fantastic last night.
And it's fun to say Windsor. Gotta consider that.
Maybe again the wrong call. Yeah, maybe on that too.
Well, again, especially when she says the things she said about Alex Windsor's. Are they married? Are they just engaged?
They're engaged.
Okay.
They're not married. I know what Mercedes has been saying, but they're not.
Yeah, because I was about to say Mercedes said husband, and I'm like, wait, did they get married? I didn't realize they got married. So I was unsure. But her significant other, we'll just put it that way. When you say things the way Mercedes did about her significant other, you got an ass whooping coming your way.
I agree.
All right. Again, despite it being like a week with go-home shows and then like usually around the pay-per-view for WWE, you don't get that many good matches. I thought the wrestling in ring was pretty good this week, as evidenced by all the matches we just threw out there. If you happen to miss any of our interviews that we've done, any of this show, make sure you check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/@GoodKarmaWrestling. A lot of cool things going on. No CDs there, though, on youtube.com/@GoodKarmaWrestling. Yeah, sorry. We don't do the CD part. Comment, subscribe, do all those great things. We'll be back next week to talk about all things pro wrestling.